Now, recording contracts. What happened
Mm-hmm.
then? And what effect did it have on WB?
In regard to recordings, I'm skipping over a few things, so let me just backtrack a little
No,
bit
no, no,
and
no,
lead
don't
up.
do that. Keep that question. I don't want to interrupt your narrative, but I just want to keep you to have that in your head because you see, artists like you're only people who can illuminate the change. Nothing else is happening in any other part of America like this. You see what I'm saying? So when the recording contracts came out, and you're one of the few people who was already in the game before recording contracts, it must have had an effect on you and your all of a sudden the same
Well, it had a major effect. It had a major effect because what recordings did was it made hip hop much more commercial, and it also because you started having record companies, A&R, people are scouting, they're looking for different groups, and so what happened was
right.
Exactly, and so what happened was a lot of the crews now are not necessarily in a jam anymore. For the most part, we're in clubs. And because we're in clubs and we're in parties, people are scouting. And so what MCs and crews did was they upped their showmanship. So now you have a different dress. Now you have the routines are much sharper. The whole entire
this is the meat and potatoes of what happened. Go ahead. Yeah, this is what I needed to get from you as a partner.
Right. You started to see the Right, you started to see the transition of the crews become to really take their craft much more seriously. Not that we didn't before, but it was more so just kind of like in the park, we were much younger. But now, again, when people really started to consider a record contract, then it was like, okay, well, you know what, we want to make sure we're tighter. And then the record company pushed you when it came to your showmanship, into your look, what you wore, your presentation, how to connect with the crowd. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it definitely brought a transition. And I also got a chance to make several records, which most people don't know. But, we're going to get into that. And you'll get a chance to kind of hear more about that.
Go back to where you left off. That's the bomb you dropped there. And this is what this show is about. Not just your history, but the flavor. What was going on. You see, the people can image now in their minds that period of hip hop. Because a lot of people, Debbie D, think hip hop is bam, was here and all the elements were here at the same time, DJs and you know what I'm saying, just appeared. You and people like yourself, queens of the culture who were there from the very first day, have stories and knowledge. So continue, please, Miss Debbie D on Disco Daddy's Black World of Hip Hop.
Okay. Well, from there, from Patty Duke and the Jazzy Five MCs, we merged with the crew called K Connection, and this consisted of DJ Kenny Ken, who also had a sound system, and we merged with him. And this is kind of what you had. This was, I'm looking at some flyers in front of me, so this is like 1980, 1981. Okay. We kind of merged with him.
And you had a lot of by this time.
Exactly. Again, people kind of. Right. Now you have more people kind of going inside. We were still kind of doing a few jams here and there, but we were also even going inside. This is where the PAL came in at. This is the Ecstasy Garage. We're still in the grassroots. This is the T Connection. Right. This is the Sparkle. These are all the major areas. Even around the 9, we had like Claremont Center. Was another area that another place we went, and so this is where the group merged. So you got Jazzy Five merging with Kenny Ken because he had a sound system. Let me say something about this because I don't know if people talk about this enough, but the DJs that had a sound system, yes, the DJs that had a sound system always had much more notoriety than other DJs. So oftentimes when people talk about DJs, you hear the same names over and over because these DJs had sound systems, and guess what? The young kids followed the sound system. So, and let me say this.
You're talking about standout sound system.
Exactly. Okay. As a matter of fact, what I was going to say to you is oftentimes people that are historians or they're really trying to get into the culture and understand some things about the sound system, one of the names that always comes up are the Herculoids. And oftentimes people think that the Herculoids are the people that was with Kool Herc. But the Herculoids was the sound system. And Kool Herc is known for having an amazing sound system. You can hear his sound system a block.
I got you. No, I got you. But if they were calling Herculoids, what connection did they have with Kool Herc?
I'm sorry?
If they were calling Herculoids, you say they weren't actually, Kool Herc was separate from the Herculoids, or they just take his name?
What I'm saying is when people say the Herculoids, whenever they use that name, they often think that the Herculoids are people. The Herculoids were not necessarily people. The Herculoid, that particular word, was applicable to the sound system. His sound system.
The Herculoid and a lot
that was his sound. You know, sometimes people kind of just gave their sound system a name. And a Lord is the person that is over everybody. So what Kool Herc is saying is, my sound system is better than everybody.
Okay, I'm thinking the Herculoids were part of the group, were part of his group.
Exactly.
So you just again dropped the bomb that illuminates that that was not that's a misconception.
Right. Now Clark Kent, Coke Rock, Timmy Tim, all of these people were a part of Kool Herc's group.
Right.
But what I'm saying to you is, when they say the Herculoids, if you ask Kool Herc, or if you ask DJ Clark Kent or Coke Rock, they're going to say to you that the Herculoids was the sound system.
Okay, I haven't.
Okay, so that's a good nugget right there for people that want to know history. Okay. Anybody want to know history? Okay. And let me say this. So then you had Mean Gene and the L Brothers, a sound system. You had Bambaataa, who had a sound system. You had Disco King Mario, who had a sound system. You see what I'm saying? Then you had Breakout, who had a sound system. So you had all of these local DJs all over the place. But the people that had major sound systems that they could come out in the park and they could really plug into that light post and you could hear their sound system from a blocks away, those are the people that are usually most notable in hip hop. But you had all kinds of DJs out there. I mean, we had Black out there. I'm sorry?
If you had these massive sound systems, people could hear blocks away, what was police doing? I mean, they didn't have any, I have to ask you that because it's the first thing that comes to mind, you know, because you're clearly stating that there were DJs that had massive sound systems, different, you know, that separated them from the ordinary run-of-the-mill DJ. So what kind of, did you have problems with the police?
That's a great question. No, because what happened was whenever they went into the parks, they set it up in a park. It wasn't like it was out in the street. And oftentimes, like you will hear somebody say 63 park or 55 park or what's another park I could say 23 park. Oftentimes, what people don't realize is the numbers that they use was actually equated to a school. It wasn't a park like with trees and they had a lake and it wasn't in seats. It wasn't like that. 63 park was 63 school. It was just that they were in the schoolyard, and so we would say something like there's a jam in 63 park.
Right.
You follow?
The word would get around faster than the internet.
Oh, let me tell you, the word would get around faster than Facebook. Are you kidding me? And you can hear it. Now you have to remember this, Danny. We're 13 and 14 years old. Everybody's basically walking on their bikes. So when somebody would say, and let me just plug this, oftentimes the word got around because people lived in projects, and so they would spread the word really quickly, or people got the word in high school. And so they would come to the high schools and pass out flyers, and they would say, like, we're going to be in this park this particular day. But for the most part, when they had a jam, that was usually by word of mouth. And guess what? When they set up in that park, and now I want you to picture this, you a 13-year-old kid, a 14-year-old kid, right? You hear that music about 3 blocks away. Trust me when I tell you, you start walking faster than you ever walked in your life. Because you were trying to get to that park because you wanted to see Grand Wizard Theodore do his thing. You wanted to see Flash do his thing. You wanted to see Clark Kent do his thing. You wanted to see these DJs.
Okay.
So you were moving.
Were you a B girl? Were you a B girl, Debbie D?
Oh no, I was never a B girl. I'm always a fly
You can never be girl, okay? Because some of our
always the fly girl. I can't be spinning on my head. That's not for me. Salute to all my sisters. All my sisters doing that little break dancing and spinning. But Debbie D is a fly girl for life. But that's how it was. That's how it was. The word kind of got around, and and all of the kids just went. We would wear our sweatshirts and that little clip you just heard. Everybody, the girls would wear their Saxon jeans. Even if you saw some of the old school flyers, and you would see like Buddy Esquire or Cisco Kid. These, were people that would make a lot of our flyers. You would see them depict girls with those types of jeans on. And the party was like $2 for girls, $3 for boys, and then it was like if the fly girls got there before 12, they would get in free. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a great time. It was the greatest time ever of the hip hop era. It's old school.